My most anticipated skill type arriving in Path of Exile 2 is, without a doubt, Shapeshifting. Even better, even though POE2 hits with a new class, the Druid, which will likely have an affinity with wild shaping, we know skill gems are not tied to any particular class and can be used by anyone. It's the classic GGG and POEW. That means we can be a marauder who decides to become a bear and bring the thundering bear thighs upon his foes, or a witch who really enjoys transforming into a wolf, biting enemies and infecting them with all sorts of vile chaotic diseases. Or, if you're really crazy, you can be a mercenary who enjoys cosplaying as a kitty. The real question is, can we be a kitty with guns? I mean, crossbows? Probably not. This video explores all we know about shapeshifting in Path of Exile 2. Presently, we have concrete details on 2 animal forms and a slight hint at a third. That's correct. We are taking a peek back at the wolf form revealed during ExileCon 2019, leaping forward to the bear form showcased first at Gamescom 2023 after a banger teaser at ExileCon 2023, then hopping on back to the cat form, also briefly mentioned during the first ExileCon. Info on that last form might be sparse, but that's never stopped me before. Then, this video dives into some of the possible, if not entirely improbable forms we will be able to meld into once we finally get our excited little hands on POE2. Okay, that's all for now. Let's get right to the wolf form. Without a doubt, the loudest crowd reaction during the Path of Exile 2 reveal at ExileCon 2019 came from the reveal of shapeshifting generally and the wolf form specifically. The moment our Exile Gorley shifts from man to wolf caused many a PoE player to swoon, and the in-depth gameplay showcase moments later continued that trend. Don't you love hearing Jonathan laughing as it happens? Initially, it looks like shapeshift forms were supposed to be similar to auras, wherein you swapped them on and were in them permanently, no extra bells or whistles needed. While in the form, you could use, as Chris Wilson said when he was still leading POE2's development, any skill that makes sense. In this showcase of the wolf form, we see the ranger turn the wolf form on as an aura, then use 2 skills that make sense, Leap Slam and Cleave. We also learned here that each shape-shifting form might have specific benefits, like higher attack speed, more physical damage, more resistances, or higher chances to critically hit. However, as we'll see when we move to the bear form, everything changed over the course of development. Even though it is confirmed, wolf form is still in POE2 per Jonathan Rogers during the initial Druid showcase. The second completely confirmed shapeshifting type is the bear form. The first actual look we had at the bear form was in the Path of Exile 2 trailer 2, during the reveal that POE2 would have 12 character classes, not 7, with one of them being the Druid. This first glimpse is absolutely awesome, showing a Druid in bear form stand on its hind legs and trample over a host of rattled skeletons and vile snake dudes. Not long after, we took a deep dive into all things related to the Druid and, importantly, the bear form. Now, there were some huge changes from 2019. First and foremost, shapeshift gems no longer existed. Now, each form seemed to have a set of gems unique to them, even tagged with a specific form and shapeshift. Examples on screen showcase bear gems. These gems, whether they're attacks, channels, slams, or buffs, transform the character from its human form to a shapeshifted form. Shapeshifting is no longer an aura or something you need to reserve spirit for. It just happens. Once you use a specific form skill, you stay in that form until you take an action that would take you out of it. For example, casting the volcano spell or deciding to dodge roll. I'm hoping there's a unique item or ascendancy that allows you to stay permanently inside your animal forms. We'll have to see though. Also, it's vital to note that shapeshift forms count as weapon sets, thusly you can tie specific passive skill trees and buffs to certain shapeshifting forms. So, back directly to the bear form itself. Unlike ExileCon 2019, now all animal forms have gems specific to them, although I'm sure some gems tagged simply with shapeshifting will exist. Based on the bear's set of gems, I'd gander bear enjoyers will focus on slams, war cries, and rage generation. As you might have seen earlier, we have some actual gems to glance at. The first is Ferocious Roar, which says shapeshift into a bear and trigger war cry skills. So this is a meta gem, and it means you can actually socket actual war cry skills into it. So say Enduring Cry, Seismic Cry, Infernal Cry, all of those can be socketed within, and when you use this skill, you will trigger all of them at once. That is spectacular and awesome. Next up, we have Furious Slam, which says shapeshift into a bear and slam the ground with great force, causing a stunning shockwave that deals damage in a large area around you. Now this is interesting as well. Right here in the second line it says plus 0.6 seconds to total attack time if not already a bear. You read that right. It means if you combo your skills together properly and you're already a bear when you use some of these attacks, they will be faster. Then we have Maul, which is a basic auto attack of the bear that generates rage. Shapeshift into a bear and swipe with your claws. Once again, we have that clause where it takes longer if you're not already a bear. So using these skills together, you can really combo them and be in your bear form permanently, absolutely bashing and mauling people. Then we have my favorite bear skill so far, Rampage. Shapeshift into a bear and rampage forward, slamming the ground as you run. The initial roar generates rage, then consumes rage until you run out, and all of the slams on the ground each count as actual slams, which is cool because that means it combos well with Volcano, which was another showcase skill that works very well with bear form. I'm putting it up on screen right now. Volcano says, create a volcano that fires projectiles around it. Channeling the skill causes it to fire more projectiles and deal more damage when it first erupts. Any slam near the volcano causes it to erupt, firing projectiles. So that's right, you can summon the volcano and then rampage around it, causing an absolute ton of projectiles to fly out. And then with rampage itself, you can combo that with, say, seismic cry, which causes double the number of slams to occur when you slam. So that's doubling the 2 slams for each hit to 4. That's super cool, and the exertion there is going to work very, very well. Given the combos with other skills, melee nature, and the absolute banger look to the bear form, whose fur lights up with red runes the more rage it has, I think I know my starter for the June 7th, 2024 closed beta. I am not joking here. Armed with this new information about how shapeshifting in POE2 is designed, let's briefly revisit wolf form. Given the bear form's focus on slams, stuns, and war cries, I think wolf form will also include at least a trio of areas to focus on, at least initially. Poisons or infecting enemies, normal attack skills, and synergies with wolves or summoned packs in general. There could be a wolf gem that bites enemies and causes some sort of chaos damage over time. Then, when enemies die from said damage, they explode and spread it to nearby monsters like a plague. Then there could be a basic rending claw skill gem and some sort of skill that causes the wolf's power to grow the more summoned wolves they have around them. Since POE2 is going for combos, perhaps the wolf form's poison bite attack could cause vile wolf pups to spawn from the corpses too? Or maybe they could somehow debuff an enemy's chaos or poison resistances? I think all that would be kind of neat. Right before we move to the cat form, I would like to ask, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I'm consciously ramping up videos like this, working on improving the quality, and I'm aiming to be the POE2 content creator as we near its June 7th, 2024 closed beta. Thank you for the consideration and for watching this video. Now, let's get back to it. Rounding out the trio of animal forms we should be getting in POE2 is the cat form. Now, of the 3, this is the only one that might have not made the cut into POE2 given its huge changes since that initial reveal back in 2019. That's because the cat form was originally unique to the Ranger's Beastmaster Ascendancy class. You can see on this screenshot right here that one of the Beastmaster's nodes granted the class access to a special shapeshifting form, the cat. What type of cat? A lion? A tiger? A cheetah? A jaguar? How about all of them with some nice MTX? Well, we don't know, and we might never know, because there hasn't been even a slight tease about it since the initial discussion about it at ExileCon 1. However, if I were a gambling man, and I'm not unless I'm trying to fracture tier 1 Fizz on a Psychotic Axe base, I would wager cat form will be in POE2. We've seen they're going all out for various archetypes thus far, from guns, I mean crossbows, to spears, and big slamming slams with maces and the warrior. Heck, I've already gushed about the bear form enough, but they've really hit the fantasy bear. Why not go a whole league further than the competition and allow characters to become kitties? Really, it's probably still in the game. When Jonathan introduced the bear in its showcase, he mentioned it being the slowest of the animal forms, plural. There's no way there's just 2, the bear and the wolf, right? So if we do get the cat form, I think its gems will focus on speed and stealth. Stealth is a part of POE1 they never really embraced and iterated on. It could be yet another selling point in POE2, and a cat form would be the perfect method of showcasing this. Gems could relate to going into stealth, breaking out and doing massive damage, or if we're mixing speed with stealth, perhaps something like Flicker Strike as a cat, a series of super fast cat scratches from stealth that ends with a meow. Anything is possible. These are all shots in the dark. Speaking of shots in the dark, those three are the shapeshift forms we've heard about in some regard. Now, what would I and the POE2 community love to see as possible forms? We're starting with me. Give me a quadrilla, a four-armed ape which appears to be in POE2 and is now in POE1 in the form of a Leap Slam MTX. It's unique to Ray class and would be a banger of a form. This would focus on big strikes with its four arms, crowd control with grapples of some sort. Ooh, that would be awesome. Then there's the classic Roa, the big baddie we first encounter in the mudflats of POE1. Imagine mega charges into packs of monsters, surprising them before they could even react. And how about a Raven? Something I imagine would have some interesting flying abilities and perhaps even some spellcasting involved. Maybe the Porcupine? If we can't beat them, we must join them. Or how about a beetle form, or some variation of the infamous Weta? Terrifying it would be. Of course, shapeshift forms will be available to all classes too. Maybe there will be some non-beast or nature-themed creatures, like elemental forms, transforming into sentinels of purity or some such, or maybe something like the Reaper? In response to what kind of shapeshifter forms do you think we'll get, a question from throwaway 857482 on the Path of Exile 2 subreddit. Remember this 6989 says, an elephant, and that would be so cool, as Ultra Low Real says. I would love an elephant form, and we have seen massive creatures with tusks already in Path of Exile 2 that look like jungled elephants. That would be awesome. A Boo 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 says crab people. Yeah, that would be pretty cool too. There's a lot of crabs in PoE already. That would make sense to add a crab form of some sort. What skills would we give a crab form though? Some sort of blocking with the shell and pincers. Interesting thought. Mulde says, I hope we get some classic PoE monster forms such as drop bears and roas. Yeah, those are both great ideas. Of course, I agree with the roa. The drop bear, that would be pretty cool too. Zenith Wind says, this is one of those vectors with limitless potential for GGG to expand on in the future. They could include any basic realistic beasts, including but not limited to birds, sea creatures, etc. to existing PoE monsters. Prehistoric, i.e. dinosaurs, deep sea creatures, and truly fantastic ones, i.e. dragons, phoenixes, leviathans. For now, I think they should really just polish the basic forms to get the mechanic right. And honestly, I do agree with Zenith. I think there should be 3 or 4 forms to start with Path of Exile 2. And you know what? We could get MTX for those forms as well. And more skills in the future. We're probably going to be shifting into all sorts of wild stuff once we get POE2. Now, compared to the other 2 big ARPGs currently on the market, Diablo 4 and Last Epoch, I'm really a fan of what GGG seems to be doing with at least the bear form. I haven't been able to try Last Epoch's werebear, although the gameplay I have seen looks decent, if not a tad clunky. Diablo 4, on the other hand, I did play. I was initially super excited to finally be able to shapeshift in a modern ARPG, and it was unfortunately not what I was imagining upon playing it. I understand it's a difficult vibe to get right, and I will wait on my final judgment until I actually get to play the bear and other POE2 shapeshift forms. But the gameplay I have seen looks sharp and chunky in a good way. Anyways, that's all for this video. Tala Moana, Exile.